My. I got another crazy top 10 for y'all today. Thank you for tuning into Hard News TV4. I'm your host, Harry Lynn, and this is the channel where truth is like archaeology, and every day we're digging for it. Today is December 23rd, 2020, and this might be another one that y'all need to strap in on. Okay, article number 1. Rare vaccine injury claims are steered to an obscure federal office. Let me get the search bar in here. This is from AP News from yesterday. So those rare vaccine injuries, they're being steered to an obscure federal office, pushed under the rug, basically. Though most people who protect themselves from the virus vax will never develop serious side effects, such rare cases are barred from federal court and steered to an obscure program with a record of seldom paying claims. So if you get hurt from this vaccine that they're pushing, it says it rarely goes to court. It's going to get pushed into an obscure federal office. Nobody will basically even know that anything happened to you, and you won't be helped. Really? So they want to inject you whatever they want to inject you with, but if you have side effects, you can't do anything about it. Let's look at 1A. It goes along with this. So this article is from Yahoo News from yesterday. U.S. companies no longer have to pay sick leave to people with the virus after Mitch McConnell blocks extension. So, first of all, a doctor can say you have the virus. You might even know people that died from the virus. But y'all need to keep in mind that the coroner in Colorado is coming unhinged because they're ruling traffic accidents as COVID, murder, suicide as COVID, pre-existing conditions, and you might have a heart attack, but they might have said at some point you were diagnosed with COVID and your death certificate is going to say COVID. So anyway, if you call your human resources office, I can't come in COVID, your company is not going to pay your 12 to 14 days quarantine. Now, why is this important? Because this will motivate employees who can't afford to miss a 2-week check to go on preemptively and get the virus vaccine so that they don't miss work. But yet, if you get a side effect, you don't have a way to sue and get compensated. But yet, if you come down with it, you're not going to get paid. This is manipulation to persuade you to get the vaccine. Article number 2, the Trump administration announces purchase of 100 million additional doses of the virus vaccine. This is from today from the Daily Caller. The Trump administration has purchased an additional 100 million doses of Pfizer's coronavirus vax, the drug maker announced Wednesday. The new agreement means that Pfizer will supply 200 additional doses to the United States, according to the company statement, which will be distributed through July 2021. Also included in the deal is the option to purchase 400,000 more doses. Okay? Y'all, there's only like 350 million people in the United States. That's 7 million doses right there that the U.S. is going to get from Pfizer. Does that include for 2 doses, or is that 700 million for all the illegals that are here? With these 100 million additional doses, the United States will be able to protect more individuals and hopefully end this devastating pandemic more quickly. But yet, if you have side effects, you're not getting compensated for it, and not too many people are even going to know about it because it will not even make it to court. Such injury cases, such rare cases, are barred from federal court. You ain't got a leg to stand on if this hurts your only body that God gave you. You will not get another body, and the government wants to inject you with something that they won't even compensate you for if you get injured from. I'm not taking it. Article number 3 says French law would ban people who don't get the virus vaccine from using public transportation. People in France who refuse to take the COVID-19 vax will be banned from using public transportation and engaging in other activities under a newly introduced law. Now look at 3A in Germany. German Geneticist says people who refuse the virus vax should be denied medical treatment. A German geneticist says that people who refuse to take the COVID vax should be denied emergency medical attention and treatment. Do y'all see them strong-arming people? Whoever wants to refuse the vaccination outright, he said, please also always carry a document with the inscription, I don't want to be vaccinated. I want to leave the protection against the diseases to others. I want, if I get sick, to leave my intensive care bed and ventilators to others. He said the efficacy of vaccines has been proven 1 billion times over. Really, 1 billion times over? And that people should leave it to the experts rather than listen to those who oppose the vaccination. Wolfram Hehn, a member of Germany's Ethics Council, told Bild newspaper that vaccine refuseniks should not be able to access ventilators or other emergency measures. Now, what does that mean? If you want to go in the emergency room, they're not going to treat you? If you're having a seizure, they're not going to treat you until you submit to what they want? I mean, this is about to get crazy. Let's go to article number 4. Well, revisiting 1A, you remember U.S. companies won't have to pay you your sick leave for the virus? And I said that's just going to get you to arm wrestle you to submit to it. Well, look at article number 4. This is from Axios from 9 hours ago. Why Americans will be demanding proof of the vaccination. You've received a coronavirus vaccination, but can you prove it? The answer to that question will help determine how the global economy functions for the next few years. Why it matters. The federal government will probably neither mandate nor encourage digital immunity passports or other proofs of vaccination. But privately operated digital certificates are already being developed, and the U.S. law means that anybody who gets vaccinated here should be able to obtain the proof that they need. So it sounds like that the federal government don't want to have their fingerprints on it, and they'll just let private companies do it. But watch this. I guess I'll call this 4A. It's on the same page. Exclusive, 6 hours ago. A plan to deliver at-home virus test. What do you think this is going to be? The company behind one of the new fully at-home COVID-19 tests is partnering with digital health platform to deliver rapid diagnostics to consumers. Okay? So, you know that health app that everybody had to download? Then if they give you an at-home COVID virus test, they are going to immediately know if you tested positive. And how do you know if the tests aren't contaminated and going to give you a false positive? Then they're going to have all of your business, know exactly where you live, where to quarantine you, and if you need to be quarantined. You see that little girl in the Cayman Islands that took her little bracelet off and is facing prison for it. We got some crazy stories coming. Let's go to article number 5. Acting Secretary of the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, Chris Miller, thanks VP Pence for efforts in most complex military operation in history. I think he's referring to Operation Warp Speed. Let's get into this. Acting Secretary of the Department of Defense thanks Vice President Mike Pence for his efforts with complex military operation. Acting Secretary of the Defense Chris Miller shared this. I want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country has ever conducted. The greatest military sting you've never heard of, or have you? It says, is Miller referring to the recent work by the military in obtaining a vaccine for the China coronavirus? Is this the most complex military operation in the history of the country? I would say that's what he's referring to, that the Pentagon is over this, the military is over this, it's got a military name. The logistics of it, the plan, there's plans going on that we don't know anything about, and he's congratulating him on it. Let's go to article number 6. As we're dealing with no income, repos, evictions, mandated vaccinations that you have no recourse if you have side effects from, companies that will not pay you for time off. While we got all that going on, this is from yesterday. Russia and China conduct joint military maneuver, forcing U.S. ally to scramble fighter jets. 19 Chinese and Russian aircraft intruded into South Korea's air defense identification zone on Tuesday, forcing the United States ally to scramble fighter jets in response. 4 Chinese warplanes, followed by 15 Russian aircraft, entered the Korean air defense identification zone, South Korea Joint Chiefs of Staff told Reuters. South Korea Air Force fighters were dispatched to take tactical measures in response. And while that's going on, here's Article 6A from yesterday. Air Force test drone killing microwave weapon in Africa. The Air Force is testing a high-energy microwave weapon. That's a DO weapon, directed energy. The Air Force is testing a high-energy microwave weapon system in Africa to combat armed drones operated by terrorists. I don't know if I believe this story. How do we know that this isn't testing 5G technology and they're doing it in Africa? Okay? And why was the use of drones permitted in the United States, even by civilians and even by companies, when the drones can be weaponized? But I think this is testing for the 5G rollout to see what the consequences is going to be with it and the success rate in their mind of what it's going to do. Look at this. Richard Joseph, the Air Force chief scientist, was recently quoted by Breaking Defense as saying the tactical high-power microwave operational responder, Thor, is being tested in a real-world setting in Africa. We have recently deployed a test system in Africa for defense based on a microwave system. It's going to cook you alive, just like China just did. And the purpose is able to disrupt and destroy the performance of drones or swarms of drones, Joseph recently told the Mitchell Institute. Really? How many drones are flying around in Africa? And they're testing it in a real world setting. How many drones are flying in Africa? It's been tested extensively, works remarkably well. I've watched it in action and it's quite impressive. I think they're testing this to mimic 5G technology so that they can have a real world understanding of what's going to happen. Let's go to article number 7. So when we talk about chemtrails and nanoparticles and things that's on us and in us, people think we're crazy. Look at this article from yesterday. First evidence of microplastics found in human placentas. For the first time ever, microplastic particles were detected in placentas of unborn babies. And you wonder why we got things like autism. According to researchers who warn, these potentially harmful plastic particles is a matter of great concern. The study, published in the journal Environment International and entitled Placenta, I don't know, First Evidence of Microplastics in Human Placenta, found microplastics in 4 placentas of women who had pregnancies and birth. Researchers noted microplastics were found in both the fetal and maternal sides of the placenta. So the mama's got it and she's passing it on to the baby. And in the membrane within which the fetus, the baby, develops. So we done talked about on this channel a lot the unethical experiments that the government has perpetrated on U.S. citizens covertly, and people still don't want to believe it. Let's go to article number 8. This is from studyfinds.org. Who are you again? Face masks significantly reduce the brain's ability to recognize people. Yeah, because it's cutting off your oxygen. What if I had a criminal coming up behind me putting his hand over my nose and mouth? You don't think I'm going to lose oxygen and lose the ability to... Well, first of all, I ain't getting put in that position. His little ass getting flipped over means something's about to go down. But so that was a bad analogy. But, okay, so this says, who are you again? Face masks significantly reduce the brain's ability to recognize people. As the coronavirus pandemic drags on, putting on a face mask has become as second nature to people as putting on their pants. While it may be helping to limit the virus's spread, really, we've got all these wide outbreaks, these new outbreaks, so that little piece of paper is going to stop the spread. While it may be helping to limit the virus spread, scientists say it's also made it much harder to figure out who's actually standing next to us in public. Researchers from Ben Gurion University of the Negev say face masks are lowering the brain's ability to properly recognize and distinguish between different faces. Because you're not feeding your brain. Your brain can't think. For those of you who don't always recognize a friend or acquaintance wearing a mask, you're not alone, the research team says in a media release. Face masks are among the most informative and significant visual stimuli in human perception and plays a unique role in communicative social daily interactions. The unprecedented effort to minimize COVID-19 transmission has created a new dimension in facial recognition due to mask wearing. Face masks could lead to accidentally recognizing faces of unfamiliar people as those that we know. So, this sounds like the onset of Alzheimer's or dementia. It's affecting the human brain. The results reveal wearing a mask decreases a person's ability to successfully tell who someone is by 15%. You're always going to know who I am for how loud my mouth is. Well, let's go to article number 9. Look at this. New study shows coronavirus capable of entering the brain has similarities to HIV. Now, I don't want to go past this too fast. I want to break this down. Remember a while back I did a video saying, was the swab test the grooming process breaking the skin between the blood-brain barrier, and that's why that long Q-tip was going all the way almost to the brain. And Chris Wallace even talked about he had the test and it felt like it was going all the way to the brain. And we talked about injectable devices that could put stuff up the nose. Well, new study finds, this is from today, that the coronavirus is capable of entering the brain because they've already basically broke the skin between the blood-brain barrier. They condition the body to receive the transfer of diseases to the brain and has similarities to HIV. Remember that second part. Has similarities to HIV. When has a flu-like disease have similarities to HIV? But we're going to get into this. There have been many reports this year of recovering COVID-19 patients struggling with lingering neurological issues like brain fog and overall mental fatigue. While it's been discussed from the same time that SARS-CoV-2 may have adverse effects on the brain, the how and why of this relationship remained a mystery until now. Researchers from the University of Washington say the coronavirus spike protein is indeed capable of bridging the blood-brain barrier in mice. Now, 6 months ago, I was showing y'all what they were doing with pushing that Q-tip up your nose. And now they're saying that the virus can cross it. Well, now they've done broke the skin. I don't mean to be gross, but it's like they've broke the hymen from the blood-brain barrier and opened the door for whatever diseases they want to now enter your brain. I'm going to have to tag that video that I did on with this. The coronavirus can cross the brain barrier just like HIV. This isn't a unique phenomenon to the virus. Many HIV patients deal with the same cognitive symptoms. These similarities led to the research team to compare the S1 protein to the GP120 protein. Sure enough, the two proteins are very, very similar. But let me show y'all, let me remind y'all. I'm calling this 9A. I did a video on this. In the 1980s, the National Institute of Health was doing covert AIDS, HIV drug testing on foster kids. Who knows what it was? Maybe they were injecting the kids with the HIV. But they were testing wards of the state with HIV drugs. Children in foster care and state institutions were improperly enrolled in HIV drug trials with no permission from anybody. They were just testing AIDS and HIV drugs on children. Okay, this was NIH. Guess who was over this? Dr. Fauci. Okay, he was over the NIH when the NIH was testing HIV drugs on children that nobody knew about this covert test. Okay, now we've got word that the coronavirus is acting just like HIV, and who's overseeing this virus right now? Dr. Fauci, who had his hand in HIV testing 30 years ago. And the last article is from yesterday. International passengers arriving in New York City must quarantine. Sheriff deputies to visit UK travelers at home hotel to serve order from the block. International travelers coming to New York City must quarantine, with travelers from the UK getting handed a quarantine order directly by the New York City Sheriff deputies at their home or hotel, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced Wednesday, as a mutant coronavirus in Britain raises alarm locally and abroad. De Blasio said that beginning Wednesday, all international travelers will receive a Department of Health commissioner's order by mail directing them to quarantine after they fill out forms and contact information at the airports. So you're going to get off the airport. They're going to give you a piece of paper, make you write down where you're staying and where you're going, and then you're getting something in the mail from the health department, and then the police are coming to you. Travelers in the UK, where a new apparently high diagnosed contagious strain of the virus is spreading, will also receive the order, but it will be delivered directly by deputies to their home or hotel. Every traveler who comes into this city that we identify as someone coming into this city and coming back to the city will also receive the Department of Health's commissioner's order, the mayor said. It's going to be confirmed that they got it, and then people who are going to be held responsible to make sure they're following the quarantine. Look at this part. Travel unit will door knock to ensure compliance. Nazis at the door. Let's see your papers. We're coming to your house. Coming to your house. Y'all, it's about to get crazy. And let's not forget that they said that if you come down with side effects from their vaccine that they're wanting everybody to get, and it destroys your body that God gave you, and their drugs that are really unproven, untested, with side effects in clinical trials and in the real world, if it does something to your body, you don't have the right to sue for compensation. I'm not taking it. Y'all leave me your comments below and let me know what y'all think. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.